I'm 78 years old, and I've always had health problems like headaches and diabetes. In 2005, I started believing in the Lord, and over time, my illnesses improved. I felt God's love and was truly thankful. 2 years later, a relative told me about God's work in the last days, saying that Jesus had returned as Almighty God. He explained that Almighty God was now doing new work to judge and cleanse us, so we could be saved and enter His kingdom. I was so excited to hear this news. I thought, I never imagined I would see the Lord's return in my lifetime. If I could be led into God's kingdom, it would be wonderful. I felt a deep joy in my heart and thanked God for His love and salvation. After reading God's words and seeking the truth, I believed that Almighty God was indeed Jesus returned. Soon, I started participating in church life and doing my best to fulfill my duties. One day, while I was doing housework, I suddenly felt a heavy pressure on my chest and found it hard to breathe. It felt like I was suffocating. My husband noticed something was wrong and quickly called our daughter and her husband. They rushed me to the hospital. After a thorough checkup, the doctor told us with a serious face, "You have a very serious heart condition that could cause you to die at any moment. You need to be admitted right away." His words felt like a huge shock, and I started to panic. I thought, how could this be happening to me? I've been faithfully following God and doing my duty. How could God not protect me? If I die, I won't see God's kingdom or be with my family. Won't I miss out on the eternal happiness of heaven? The more I thought about it, the sadder I felt. I didn't know what to do, so I prayed, "God, I'm scared and don't understand why this is happening. Please guide me." After praying, I remembered God's words. Believing in God isn't just about saving your soul or getting blessings. If you love God only to feel good or avoid pain, then your love is not pure, and God doesn't like it. True believers in God are those who give up Satan and come under God's care. Are you willing to be this kind of person? These words made me feel ashamed. I realized that my belief in God was mostly for selfish reasons. I had believed in the Lord to be healed of my illnesses, and later accepted Almighty God to gain blessings and enter heaven. When I got seriously ill, I started to doubt and blame God because my desire for blessings was at risk. I thought my faithfulness should have earned me God's protection, and that I shouldn't be facing such a serious illness. I realized that my faith was not genuine. I wasn't truly fulfilling my duty as a created being out of love for God. Instead, I was trying to make a deal with God, hoping to get blessings in return for my efforts. When my hopes for blessings were threatened, I became angry and questioned God. I saw that my faith was weak and impure, like a beautiful flower that blooms but bears no fruit. I understood that God allowed this illness to help me see the true state of my heart and to purify my faith. I felt deep gratitude for God's guidance and realized that I needed to worship God sincerely, not for what I could get from Him. After I was admitted to the hospital, I kept thinking about God and felt closer to Him. I remembered more of God's words. God is the ultimate healer. If you live in your spirit, you are well, even if you're sick. As long as you have one breath left, God won't let you die. These words gave me comfort. I prayed, "God, I believe you are in control of everything, including my illness. I trust in you and ask for your help to have faith and accept whatever happens." After 10 days in the hospital, my condition didn't improve. One day I suddenly went into shock and had to be resuscitated. My son-in-law, seeing my worsening condition, transferred me to a provincial hospital. The specialist there put me in the intensive care unit and gave me oxygen. I overheard another patient say that everyone in the ICU was close to death. Fear gripped me as I thought, am I really going to die? That afternoon, they wheeled in a man who died an hour later. Watching this, I felt death was near and panic set in. All I could do was silently call out to God, asking Him to protect my heart. God's words came to mind. Job lost everything but kept his faith. Peter followed Jesus and was crucified because of his faith. Those who are saved by my harsh words do so because of their faith. You receive much through faith, but it is not always a blessing. These words reignited my hope and strengthened my faith. I thought of Job and Peter. Even when they suffered greatly and didn't understand God's plans, they stayed true to their faith and obedience to God. They didn't complain but trusted God, and in the end, They saw God's blessings and power. I realized that my illness was allowed by God out of love to help me grow in faith and know Him better. My life and death were in God's hands, and worrying was pointless. This realization brought me peace. A few days later, my family consulted the doctors, who said my condition was a coronary occlusion caused by diabetes. 3 arteries were blocked, and I needed surgery immediately. However, they couldn't guarantee the outcome. My family was unsure about the operation because of the risks, but my husband, also a believer, trusted in God's plan and agreed to the surgery, saying, "You just focus on the operation. Whatever happens, we'll accept it." As I was wheeled into the operating room, I thought of the risks and felt scared. I prayed, asking God to help me trust His plan. God's words reassured me. Who can choose their own life and death? Man does not control his fate. Only God does. I understood that my life was in God's hands, not mine. I needed to trust Him fully, whether I lived or died. I prayed again, surrendering myself to God's will, and felt calm as the anesthesia took effect. After the surgery, I woke up in the intensive care unit. My family told me the operation was successful. I was overjoyed and thanked God for His protection. I realized that surviving the surgery and recovering so quickly was all because of God's grace. As I healed, I noticed other patients in pain, but I felt none. The doctors were surprised at my rapid recovery, especially considering my diabetes and age. I knew it was all because of God's love and care. 2 weeks later, I was discharged, feeling grateful for God's mercy and the strength He had given me. Through this experience, I learned that God is always with us, guiding and supporting us, especially in our weakest moments. His words are powerful, and His love is real. My faith was tested, and I saw God's wondrous deeds. Now, I understand that true faith means trusting God's plan, no matter what happens. I am deeply thankful for God's salvation and feel blessed to have experienced His love so profoundly.